The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. The book opens with the story of Charles Bukowski. He is a famous author. Before that, he had a job at a post office. He is also an alcoholic, a womanizer, and a gambler. One day, an editor from a small publishing house saw his writing and gave him an offer. He should starve, give up on all his expenses, and write a book, or he can stay in the post office and go crazy. Of course, Bukowski chose to starve and then published 60 books of his short stories and poetries. Normally, when we hear such stories, we think that how special Bukowski was. He fought for his dreams, he pursued his passion, and he became successful. Right? Wrong. In fact, his epitaph read, "Do not try." He became successful because of his simple ability to be completely and unflinchingly be honest with himself. That made his books successful. Our culture today is obsessively focused on unrealistically positive expectations. Be happier, be healthier, be better, be smarter, be sexier, whatnot. But when you stop and really think about it, the conventional advice of all the positive and happy self help stuff we hear all the time is actually fixating on what we lack. It lasers in on what you perceive your personal shortcomings and failures are. You stand in front of the mirror and repeat affirmations saying that you're the most beautiful woman in the world only because you feel as if you're not already beautiful. Have you heard about the feedback loop? Imagine you get angry on something very silly and you have no idea why. The fact that you get angry on silly things makes you even more angry. Then you realize being angry all the time makes you a shallow and a mean person. You hate this. Hate it so much that you get angry on yourself. Now look at you. You're angry at yourself, getting angry about being angry. That is the feedback loop of hell. This is why not giving a fuck is so key. By not giving importance about feeling angry or bad, you short circuit the feedback loop. Ever notice that sometimes when you care less about something, you get better at it? Some couple, when they don't try hard to conceive a baby, they do get conceived a baby. Not when they tried hard. Have you heard that? That interesting phenomenon is called the backwards law. Mark Manson says, everyone is going to die someday, but everyone is going to die. So we have a limited amount of importance to give. Very few, in fact. Without conscious choice or thought about what you will give importance to, your life is screwed. So, the essential learning is how to focus and prioritize your thoughts effectively based on finely honed personal values. So, there is a subtle art of not giving importance to everything or everyone. Subtlety number one. Not giving importance does not mean being indifferent, it means being comfortable with being different. Subtlety number two. To not give importance to adversities, you must first give importance about something more important than adversities. Subtlety number three. Whether you realize it or not, you are always choosing what to give importance about. People suffer pain for the simple reason that it is biologically useful and nature's preferred agent for inspiring change. The person you marry is the person you fight with. When you choose your struggle, you choose your success. There is no such thing as a personal problem. If you're undergoing some problem, chances are that millions are undergoing through the same problem. We must realize that we are one species and we are all the same. The self-awareness onion. Self-awareness is like an onion. The first layer is the simple understanding of one's own emotions. We all have emotional blind spot. In the growing up stage, we have been taught that some emotions are appropriate to express. We need to identify it and peel it. The second layer is the ability to ask why we feel certain emotions. They eliminate what we consider as success or failure. The deeper layer of self-awareness is, why do I consider this to be successful or a failure? How am I choosing to measure myself? With what standards I judge myself and people around me? This is the most important step because our values determine the nature of our problem. Values underlie everything we are and we do. If our values are unhelpful, what drives our success is poorly chosen, then the thought emotion will be out of whack. Take a moment and think of something that's really bugging you. Now ask yourself, why does it bug you? Chances are the answers will involve a failure. Now take that failure and ask why it seems true to you. What if that failure wasn't really a failure? What if your perspective was wrong? What values drive your perspectives? This is the nutshell of all self improvement books, believe me. Prioritizing values, choosing what to give importance, and by choosing these two, you choose your struggle and hence your happiness and a better life. There are five counterintuitive values that Mark believes are most benefit. All follow backward law, that is, first is responsibility. There's a quote which says, with great power comes great responsibility. There is a better version of this quote. With great responsibility comes great power. A lot of people hesitate to take responsibility because they believe that to be responsible for a problem is to be able to be own the fault for that problem. But fault is past tense and responsibility is present tense. There is a difference. When you see this, it's easy to adapt that value. Now, people ask me, okay, now I know this is the value that I need to follow. How to change? And Mark says in his best Yoda impersonation, do or do not do. There is no how. You are already choosing every moment of your life, every day. Change is as simple as choosing to give importance to something. Second value is uncertainty. Uncertainty is the root of all progress. As the old adage goes, the man who believes he who knows everything learns nothing. Before reflecting on our values and prioritization, the first step is to become uncertain of our current values. Buddhism argues that your idea of who you are is a mental construction. When you let go of it, you give yourself an opportunity to grow as a better person. We are the architects of our own belief. In an experiment, a psychologist put a bunch of people in a room with a bunch of buttons. And they told if they do something unidentified, a light will flash. That indicates that they have won a point. And they have 30 minutes to figure out and earn as most points as they can. People started smashing buttons randomly until the light glows. Logically, they tried repeating the sequence and see if the light glows again. But that doesn't work. They think out of the box. Maybe it's not something to do with the button. Perhaps it is how I sit. Ding, the light glows. Okay, they sit in the same way. It may be we should touch the ceiling, etc. And people go crazy with sorts of patterns. They keep associating their actions with the light bulb and form a pattern. The funny part is really random. That's how people believe in a bunch of bullshit. Value is failure. The willingness to discover your own flaws and mistakes so they may be improved. Failure is a way forward, and failure is a relative concept. If Mark values and metrics was to become an anarchy communist revolutionary, then his complete failure to make money in the initial years of his career would have been a raving success. Like most people, if the metric was just to find a job to pay bills, he would have been a dismal failure. But he was from a wealthy family. He always wanted to be an entrepreneur, so he chose to do something principle. That something can be the smallest viable action forward. Do something, and the answer will follow. The fourth principle is rejection. The ability to both say and hear no, thus clearly defining what you will and will not accept in life. Rejecting things makes your life better. The act of choosing a value for yourself requires rejecting alternative values. If I choose to make my marriage the most important part of my life, that means I also choose not to make a cocaine fueled hooker orgies an important part of my life. To choose well, you must know to reject. The last and final value is the contemplation of one's own mortality. This one is crucial because paying vigilant attention to one's death helps us keep all our other values in proper perspective. Seek the truth for yourself, and I shall meet you there. That was the last thing Josh ever said to Mark. Josh and Mark were 19 years old. They were having a pool party at the condo on a hill. Below the pool was a cliff overlooking the lake. Josh and Mark spoke for a long time about starting their own music band, girls, and all other cool stuff. Later that night, Mark went on to have some food. Josh didn't have the interest to eat. So when Mark asked, where can I find you later, Josh said, seek the truth for yourself and I shall meet you there. Josh fell off the cliff that night by mistake and he was dead. This changed Mark's life from a narcotic, raged, irresponsible kid to someone who completed college and became an entrepreneur. Looking back at that night when Josh's body was fished out of the dark lake, Mark's ego slowly vanished, and it helped him to seize the day, take responsibility for the choices he made to pursue his dreams with less shame and inhibition. And the more primary lesson he learned was there is nothing to be afraid of ever. You too are going to die, and that's because you were fortunate enough to have lived. There is nothing to be afraid of ever. So, that's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. I hope you enjoyed the book. Don't forget to subscribe and comment. Love you all, hearty thanks, and see you soon.